It's The Mystery Method: How to Get Beautiful Women into Bed is a book that I wrote over 25 years ago. The book has not changed much in the last 25 years. There's It's sound. It's quite solid. Everyone is giving me positive feedback to this day on that book. But I have evolved my training. So while that book is about the structure of a pleasing love story, the structure of a pickup, from meeting her to beginning a sexual relationship, what we call courtship, that book is strongly focused on the structure of pickup. But there are additional keys to proficient pickup. And another key is material to fill in the structure. The material is the stuff we actually say in field, in the nightclub environment, to the groups of people that we interact with. That material is something that you can find if you don't know what to say, for instance, on how to open. I have written a book on openers called Hey Guys, and that's available on my site. We can talk about that later. Things have changed also in that I've written a book called Game Changers. So since that first book, The Mystery Method, both Baxter and I teach game-changing ideas. One of the greatest game changers, while I'm on this topic, that I think you'd find interesting is noting that there are two narrative arcs to choose from in a pickup. You can have the woman chase you, which I believe is better, or you can have the man chase the woman. Having the woman chase the man is entirely different from the other way around. And our game, both Baxter and I, are focused on that type of game.
Yeah.
If you were to change and focus on that type of game, your game would improve quite dramatically. Mm-hmm. That's one difference in the new stuff we teach.
That's good.
So in the book, you mention, and we could go into like the different, like, opening a set, what that means, obviously stacking material, having cool stories, etc. Can we talk about what the attraction triggers are? If I'm not mistaken, I believe there were 7.
Well, I teach a top 5.
Okay.
I'm sure there are many. There are maybe 30 of them.
Yeah.
We can go into, minutia, but the top 5 to me are: number 1 is pre-selection.
Bam. Okay.
You can save the step of having to get to know, or rather, a woman can save the step of having to get to know you if she sees that you are attractive to other women. If they see you with women, you have what we call pre-selection. And that is, in my opinion, 80% of attraction. Mm-hmm. Now, there are additional attraction switches. There's leader of men, protector of loved ones, having a willingness to emote, and showing that you're a successful risk taker. Those are the top 5 in my book, literally.
Guys, in the chat, get your pens and papers out because we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff like this. So I'm going to write, so risk taker, leader of men, protector.
Protector of loved ones. Uh-huh. If she becomes a valued member of your social circle, she too will be protected by you and your social circle. That's quite powerful. Mm-hmm. Becoming friends with Will Smith and having his resources available widens and improves your chances of survival, and that's important in life.
Yep.
So risk taker,
that's attraction.
Protector, pre-selection, leader of men, and then what was the last one again?
A willingness to emote. Okay. Successful risk taker is the last one.
Willingness to emote. Can you explain what willingness
to emote is? To show a rich range of emotion.
Okay.
Not to just monotone it and be too cool for school, or
charisma.
Fake your smile and it never goes away. So they can't trust your expressions.
Gotcha.
You want to show a rich range of expression and emotion in your storytelling. It's much more captivating.
Now, real fast. So you mentioned, being a risk taker, protector of loved ones, pre-selection, leader of men, willingness to emote, which, you can say that's like charisma, charm, being animated, being someone that's able to convey a story in an interesting manner. Now, when you, in your book, you talk about approaching sets, which a set is like, multiple women for the audience that might be wondering, multiple women, maybe there's even some guys in there. And what you're doing is you're coming in, introducing yourself, and you're telling stories that demonstrate these 5 attraction triggers that you just mentioned. And you're kind of like humble bragging about it, and people can come to that logical conclusion that you exhibit these traits through the story. But then there were other things you mentioned as well, like pulling them to another venue. Can you kind of go through that process real quick, as like from opening a set all the way to closing the deal?
Oh, if you'd like, that's a set of phases
Mm-hmm.
that fill the timeline of your pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Let's zoom in. Let's discuss the phases. Before we get to the 9 linear phases in a successful courtship, let's talk about the 3 main stages.
Okay.
You see, there's a beginning, middle, and ending phase to each of the 3 stages. That's why there are 9. Otherwise, there's only 3 main stages. And I think we can all agree that the stages have to happen in order.
Mm-hmm.
First, the first stage is attraction. We have to have traction before the second stage, which is comfort. Building comfort with someone with no attraction leads to let's just be friends.
Yep.
So we want attraction first. But now you can't jump over comfort and compromise your comfort and go straight to the third phase, or stage rather, which is seduction. You must go in order: attraction, then comfort, then seduction. The idea behind this is scientific in nature. It's backwards rationalized from that which worked. It's logical to trigger attraction first, mutual attraction, so you can demonstrate that you're attracted to her as well, and then move on to comfort, building a growing comfort, familiarity, intimacy, at the very least, connection, which is really the core of comfort, is building connection, removal of lack of discomfort, removing discomfort. That's what comfort's about. And the interesting thing is, if you have attraction and comfort, quite likely by then, she'll seduce you. Women are better seducers than men, generally, at least better than me. So I like mutual seduction, or I would like to be seduced. You have attraction and comfort, you'll get to seduction. Now, what we've done, or what I've done, is I've taken these 3 main stages, which you cannot all do at once. You can't open in seduction, or you could try. But if you get a no, how many no's do you have to get until you start learning that it's actually almost offensive to open in seduction?
Mm-hmm.
So let's now zoom into the first 3 phases, which is the beginning, middle, and ending of the attraction stage.
Mm-hmm.
The first is A1, the second is A2, the third is A3. I've just named them so we can talk about them. So we can then, once we learn the objectives of each of these phases, we can take material, these are the gambits, the words we say, the material we use to convey our personality, and we bolt them into the proper phases. So A1, the objective is simply to open, to initiate a conversation with a group of people you haven't met before. Now, 2/3 of all approach scenarios are the 3 set, are a group of 3 people, guys or girls. That's a mixed set. That counts as a 3 set. So you're going to have to work groups. So focus, instead of trying to pick up a girl all by her onesie, and you never meet her friends, she never meets your friends, which is quite, odd. It feels uncomfortable, almost damn near creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting her friends, and then her friends meeting your friends, and you're getting to know each other that way. That's much more. It gives more potential to a love story, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Following A1, opening the set using the material of openers, and I've written a book. Hey guys, it's a book of openers, 60 plus openers, more than enough for to handle a myriad of approach scenarios. Once we've done A1 and we've opened successfully, 15 to 30 seconds in is all it takes, we move forward to A2, which is the core of attraction, where I'm going to demonstrate higher value, DHV, demonstrate higher value to her, and elicit, draw out of her IOIs, and her meaning the woman of interest within that group.
Mm-hmm.
Once I have 2 or 3 indicators of interest, that's, a pattern is forming that she's demonstrating interest in me. I will then slow it down and say, is there more to you than meets the eye? And get her to qualify me. Now, that one gambit, is there more to you than meets the eye? It's just one example of a gambit. There are many qualifiers, but that's one example of a qualifier. That qualifying is so important, by the way, that it is a phase, not just a gambit, not just a game piece. But if you run 4 or 5 gambits that are qualifier gambits in the third phase of A3, you will complete the objective of the phase, which is to allow her to feel like you're attracted to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mirror opposite of A2. In A2, you're DHVing and she's IOIing, giving indicators of interest
Mm-hmm.
for you showing value. And in A3, the opposite is happening. You're getting her to DHV you so that you can then perhaps positively misinterpret everything as awesome and IOI her for having done so. Make sense?
Yes, you're
So those
rewarding
are the
good
first
behavior.
3 phases of pickup, and that completes attraction. Once you've done that, once you've finished qualifying her for 8 to 12 minutes on average, you will move into a lock-in position, a sit-down position, grab yourself a seat with her and her friends if necessary, if not isolating her from her friends, 10 minutes in with permission from the peer group. And then you're in comfort. And that's the first phase of comfort is C1. And you're on to the comfort and leading off to seduction over time. There's more to it, but we can definitely have zoomed into the first part, which is pickup. A1, A2, A3, move to C1. Every set, A1, A2, A3, move to C1. A1, open, false time constraint. A2, DHV, neg. Prime her to want to qualify herself. Then A3, qualify her. Move the set. Then C1, start building comfort with comfort building gambits. If you do that successfully enough times, you will master the game.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go, guys. And now you see why he's a legend. And everyone that you know that's in this space, that's helping guys with getting women, typically is following that structure to some degree. This is like the main rubric that a lot of people built their game off of. So just to recap, attraction, comfort, seduction are the 3 big components. And then within attraction, you break it down to 3 other levels. You got A1, which is opening the set, approaching them, saying hello with your opener, whatever it may be, which mine used to be, hey, you're almost as cute as me, haha, right? Break it with kind of a funny situation, like a funny pickup line, right? Then you demonstrate higher value, brag, not necessarily brag about yourself, but do it through, telling stories or whatever. And then she shows indicators of interest. I know there was a bunch that you would put in your book, touching her hair, if I'm not mistaken, you'd call that preening, scratching her arm like this, looking up at you. There was some other IOIs you had mentioned in the book. And when she shows this, then you qualify her, and then you try to move the set, get her to follow you, and then have that one-on-one conversation to build comfort. So that's kind of a summary of what he was just saying, guys. And sorry, what did you say? Something? Oh,
I had a question actually, Mister, if you don't mind. So when it comes to the game
Please.
and meeting women, obviously your friends are going to be around you. Select friends. How do you choose a good wingman to be your partner? Like Rob, for example.
Well, Rob has come from a long distance. He's come from heaven. And he is an angel walking on earth. And we do good works together everywhere we go. And we travel city to city, country to country. We've gone around the world many times over. Right, buddy?
Yeah.
So
Well, Facebook
how-
told us we'd been to about 300 cities together, so and
that's
that was
right.
a while
That's right.
back.
And that was a while back. So how do you find a good wingman? Well, in my opinion, a lot of people try to, force it and find a good wingman online. I think you'll find each other where beautiful women are.
Mm.
You'll find each other.
Mm.
You're going to meet a guy with beautiful women on his arms, and you're going to have beautiful women on your arms, and the two of you are going to wink at each other, knowing that you guys are living good lives. And that's how you'll meet your next wingman in field. That's my
a good point.
That's great.
That's kind of like how me and Fresh met, because we both were dealing with the same situation, like with the same types of girls here in Miami, and we instantly bonded over that, because it's very rare to find another guy that knows his way around, women. So when you do find it, you're like, okay, if this guy's here with women, he clearly knows what he's doing, because it's so few, few guys can actually do it. So that's actually a really good indicator to see if someone's knows what they're talking about.
Yep.
Game knows game.
Absolutely. So Mystery, we went over the attraction. Can we talk about comfort a little bit? Because I think this is something that a lot of guys kind of mess up, where they build too much comfort and the girl friend zones them, or they don't build enough comfort, they hook up with the girl, and then she gets buyer's remorse, and she doesn't want to necessarily see you again because you didn't build up the comfort. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, the comfort building stage is about 7 hours? 7 hours, if I'm not mistaken, in your book?
Well, a general solid game pickup that is not a fool's mate pickup where you win chess in 4 moves and think you're a master when your opponent is merely naive.
Yeah.
Playing a solid game is roughly 4 to 10 hours.
Okay.
If you're under 4 hours, you're compromising her comfort levels. Remember, it's based on her comfort levels. So don't think you're a master because you've betted her in 1 hour for her to get buyer's remorse then, right? And unless you have multiple sexual liaisons with her, it's not a sexual relationship. So in other words, if you have a one-night stand and you can't be with her again because she chooses not to see you again, to me, that's still an abysmal pickup failure.
Okay.
Right? Because this is love game. The idea here is to be so lovable that she gives her body to you as a pleasurable experience, as a shared experience, because she loves you. It's much more powerful than just trying to bed a girl quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So 4 to 10 hours is basically with the average of 7 hours is basically a solid game pickup. And this has been confirmed by dozens upon dozens of pickup artists around the world. So if you hit the 7-hour rule, if you follow that, you shouldn't compromise her comfort too much. Also, don't go too long. If you go past 10 hours, you're accumulating by the minute like a lawyer would. If you go past 10 hours, then you can fall into the let's just be friend zone.
Gotcha.
So 7 hours is a good general rule. If you're only 2 hours in, don't sexualize it that much yet. You may be in the wrong location anyway. And that brings up comfort. C1, the beginning of comfort. C2, the middle. And C3, the ending. C1 is a part of the attraction location, the C1 location. It is the smoking section where it is quiet, where you can have a chat. It is at your table, not on the dance floor, not by the bar, maybe at the bar even. You can sit down and get intimate with the person, but really at your table, you can get intimate with the person if you're there. If you don't have a table and you want to sit at a table, I can tell you how to do that too. Remind me in a moment.
Okay.
C2 is a separate location from the C1 location. C1 location is the comfort location built into the attraction location. It's just so you can build enough comfort to affect a bounce or a time bridge, that is getting her number or contact information and a reason to see each other again. There are 2 sides to a time bridge. You don't just get her number. You get her number and a reason to see each other again. And then you bridge over the time apart so you can continue gaming with her, right? C1, you just have to build enough comfort to get to C2.
Mhm.
C2 is its own comfort building location, like, for instance, Mel's Diner on Sunset Boulevard.
Mm.
The neat thing about that place was that it was right underneath Project Hollywood, where we lived. And you've perhaps heard about Project Hollywood in the book The Game by my good friend Neil Strauss.
Yeah.
Think how logical that is when we then bounce to C3, which is my living room.
Mhm.
So we would just have to walk up the road from our comfort building eatery to get to C3. Following C3, where you're becoming intimate with her. See, in C2, it's connection, but in C3, it's intimacy. You then move forward to seduction.
Mhm.
I would hope mutual seduction. If you've done everything right, she's going to be very receptive. If you take the time, she'll be very receptive. S1 begins, arousal. S2, handling any last minute resistance issues. Hopefully all of it will be taken care of by the 7-hour rule. It's based on her comfort levels, not yours. The phases are hers, not yours. When you're in A1, she's in A1. When you're in A2, she's in A2, etc. And the last phase is S3, which is, what is that?
We know what that is.
Sex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is
What
and
about
we can say
S2?
the word,
What
it's
about
sex.
S2?
It's beginning a sexual relationship. S3.
What about what was S2? Because I know S1 is arousal. What was S2?
S2 is LMR, handling last minute
okay, my
resistance.
bad. Dealing with LMR.
Yeah, it's actually in many ways maybe it has to be reviewed again,
Uh-huh.
LMR, because you shouldn't be getting LMR. The only reason why you get LMR is because she has some discomfort, and usually it has to do with not knowing you well enough.
Yeah.
So one of the greatest game plans you can have is instead of working a set, we call it working a set, and then isolating your woman of interest and just sitting with her for 5 hours, I would rather move the set, move the girl and the set to many different locations to create more memories.
Yes.
Right? Like the smoking section, or upstairs to meet my friends, or let's go to the bar to grab my next drink. Let's go check out if the DJ is someone I know. Things to do in the club. But also you can say, we're going to the next venue. Dexter will be there. Come join. So another memory is formed. At the end of the night, she'll be in bed with you, wondering, do I really know this guy? And she'll be flooded with memories of interactions that have taken place. So when you meet a group of people, you're going to want to merge that group at some point into other groups, not only for social proof, but to create greater memories for everyone.
Mhm.
Because each new person that she meets is another memory, and you get to be the social butterfly and introduce her to others.
Yeah. So
Fair?
it sounds
These
like
are some of my thoughts.
So it sounds like you're going to give her experiences where she's going to remember you as the person giving her that experience. You escalate slowly but surely to the end point over time. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's what we call solid game.
So, yeah, and guys, you guys just literally got like a quick little summary on how this goes. So, quick recap for the audience, and I even wrote this stuff down. So, you got 3 main components: attraction, comfort, seduction. In attraction, it's A1, open; A2, demonstrate higher value; DHV; A3, make the girl qualify for you. Then you move on to comfort, taking her somewhere else, right? Moving her somewhere, getting a bit more intimate. C2, separate location, bounce her out of the club, maybe go to an eatery, whatever it may be. C3, your house. Then you go into seduction, S1, arousal. Then S2, dealing with last minute resistance, LMR. And then S3 obviously is closing the deal. So that is like kind of the overview that I would say pretty much any guy that's dealing with chicks or is a coach to some degree or whatever, they're typically following this rubric to some degree. So
every success story you've ever had has gone through those phases.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have been successful with those, whether you knew it or not. So it just rings true to a lot of people who go read the first book that I wrote, The Mystery Method, again, how to get beautiful women into bed. The other books go off into material, they go off into delivery aspects. These are keys, by the way, to proficient pickup. Structure, what we just covered, is one of the keys, very important, but it's not to diminish the importance of the second key, material. Material that meets the objectives of each of the phases. So we need openers, we need DHV material, we need negs, we need qualifier questions, we need to know how to move the set. There's several gambits for moving the set. We're going to need comfort building gambits. These are clever stories and jokes to get laughter in your set, because after all, the best pickup artists in the world have a laugh track. They all have a laugh track in their sets. I've watched them game successfully, personally, and there's a laugh track in their sets. So that might be a game changer for you. If you're not making them laugh, you might be doing something wrong, son. You may not be smiling on the open. Got to smile on the open. It increases the chance of success by a good 300%.